Hey everybody, I'm here with my friend Saberspark, and we're going to do a tier list together. I was going to do this by myself, but I figured it would be a lot more fun doing it with a friend, since I think we both have used most of these streaming services, not all of them, but most of them. So I think it's going to be fun to discuss like what's good about them, talking about the interface, the price, what's on them, because there is a video that I want to do coming soon about cable and streaming services and how like cable is still just a really bad value compared to streaming services. Though not all streaming services are created equal. Some are worse than others. So I guess we'll go over the major ones. These are the major ones that I came up with, 15 of them. They all have like most of them have more than 10 million subscribers. Um, and some of them are a bit more niche, but we'll get into that. But Saber, I guess we can get started.
Yeah, this should be interesting.
Yeah. Um, I don't want to really go because all of this is alphabetical right now. I don't want to go in alphabetical order. So I guess I'll start with one that doesn't really have much on it because it went to other things, and that is YouTube Premium. Um, because
Yeah.
it did have Cobra Kai, but that moved to Netflix.
Uh,
And really the only reason to have YouTube Premium is just to have, no ads.
Which is funny considering that it used to be where I know one of the other things it has, I think, is either YouTube Premium or YouTube Red. Or did they roll that all into the same
The
thing?
YouTube Red is the same thing. They rebranded
Okay.
into YouTube Premium.
Used to be where you can like put your phone, like, okay, screen's off. I'll just press the home button and the screen goes black, but I can continue to listen to YouTube videos. I did that when I was a lifeguard, and I would like open pools or do like maintenance, and I listen to Red Letter Media as a podcast.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, oh, this is great. My power doesn't drain. I can turn the screen off. Then YouTube's like, wait, take that away. You have to pay for that. And it's like, really? Fuck you. That that was made me so bitter that I've never had any inkling to buy YouTube Premium, Red, whatever.
Yeah, I haven't either.
Um, I just don't care. And have you seen the programs that they do where it's like cringe, like YouTube programs, and it's like,
Yeah.
I think it goes to show where it's like they're trying to be a bit like television, higher production, but it just kind of loses all the personality that YouTube has, where it comes from a very organic place, or at least it had, used to, whatever. It's become a lot more corporate and planned out now.
Right.
But to see like, oh, it's a content creator doing a show on YouTube Premium, we have to pay like $10 to watch. I'm like, I'll just no, I'm done. Like I sampled this stuff to begin with because it was free, and there's a good chance I'm not going to pay extra for it. Sorry, I'd rather just keep watching YouTube for free. I just don't care.
Yeah. So YouTube Premium, um I'm gonna put that in D. Like
I haven't used
there's
it.
like no reason to get it unless like you just really don't want ads and there's other ways around that. So
How much is it? How much is it?
yeah, I think it's like $10 a month or something.
Nah, no, thank you. No, thank
Yeah.
you.
Um So I will go at the other end here. This is one that I haven't used at all. Apple TV. Have you used Apple TV at all?
No, my friend had it. Cause he had an Apple TV with Apple
Hmm.
TV, but I know next to nothing about it. It's amazing because Apple is this massive, massive company, massive, and I can see why. Like, I guess we'll get to it here in a bit with Disney, but like to me, it seems like they got a few things that are like, okay, you kind of have this and that. When they're like, we got Charlie Brown, it's like, oh, okay, I guess you got Charlie Brown, but I don't really care. I don't
Right.
really care about most of the stuff you have.
Yeah, they have the
How much are they?
that Central Park show, which is from the Bob's Burgers people. And they're gonna have the Fraggle Rock like reboot thing. Um, it's weird. I feel so bad for like Jim Henson fans because all of the Jim Henson stuff is scattered. Because
Scattered.
like the Muppet stuff is on Disney, the Sesame Street stuff is on HBO Max. The Fraggle Rock stuff is on Apple. The Dark Crystal stuff is on Netflix.
It's like a bunch of like empires are colonizing Jim Henson. They're just splitting it up amongst themselves. Like you
Yeah.
get that, and I get this. I yeah, I don't really feel any desire to buy Apple TV.
Yeah,
There's
I
nothing
know
really there
it's
for
like
it.
the only streaming services that because they bought up the rights to stream Wolfwalkers. Um,
I'd
though
rather just buy it as a
I watched it
movie.
before when it was part of the that film festival. Uh,
Right. I'd rather just buy it directly. I don't
yeah.
need a streaming service.
So, but yeah, I haven't used it, so I'm just gonna put in I haven't used.
How much is it?
I don't know. I think it's around like 12 or 10. I think it's around that price range.
It's too much. No, thank you.
Yeah, I had the notes written down in the streaming service document that we have up. Um,
Hmm.
but I don't have that up right now. Um, so I guess we'll go from like end to end and keep doing that way. So Verve, this used to
Uh,
be really good. Um, because before it had like Crunchyroll and Funimation on the same service. And it also had like Curiosity Stream, and at one point it had like the Nick Splat thing, which had a lot of Nickelodeon shows, and then it has a lot of like independent animated shows on it, um, like Cyanide and Happiness and that show Last Man, which I've heard is really good. I haven't watched it yet.
I actually promoted Verve for a video back in like 2018,
Yeah, that's
and they
when
have
it
something
still
called
had Funimation and Crunchyroll on it.
right. It had a pretty big selling point, and something called Gary's Demons. I watched like an episode of that, which was like Rick and Morty in a way. But I it was like okay, this is a good. It's more of a specialist amongst the streaming services for like okay, some anime, there's some animation, there's stuff like that. But like it feels like it got like
It got
taken
gutted.
apart a lot.
It got
Yeah, it
gutted
got
along the
guttered.
way. Yeah. Because like having like Funimation and Crunchyroll on the same site is like overpowered. Um, and then plus all
Well,
the other stuff that they had on there. Right now they do have an anime service on there called High Dive, I believe. Um, but it's nothing compared to what they had with Funimation and Crunchyroll when that used to be on the service. And it was only like $10 a month for both of those. Um, I mean $10 a month for Verve, like everything on Verve. Um, but right now, since so much stuff has been taken away from it, I would say it's only like a C.
yeah. And I'll be real with you. Like, here's something that's interesting about streaming services compared to cable packages. Cable packages felt a lot more. I know that they had like, oh, you can pick and choose, but I feel like the cable companies had you by the balls, where they're
Right.
like, no matter what, we're getting our money. This one seems to be a bit more of a Wild West right now, where it's like, oh shoot, like what do we have? Like we're scrambling. Like Netflix started this in a way, and then Disney really pushed it, where it's like, oh shit, like we really got to get our act together. These other companies, and we'll get to that here in a bit, but like it goes to show because the cable has lost and it will lose. You know, it's the war is over. Like
Right.
now it's a death march. And the reason why is because you can't access cable on your phone. Phones
Yep.
change the game. Mobile phones change the game. We change like just again, like I'm doing not I say again, like I'm doing a video about mobile gaming, and mobile gaming as an industry eclipses movies. Like that goes to show you mobile games like in-game purchases, gotcha games and shit like that. But like the power of having a mobile device on you at all times connected where you can watch anything like that is powerful, and
Yeah.
cable can't do it. Cable cannot do it. It's over.
Yeah.
Sorry. Verve
Um.
though, see tier.
Yeah. Yeah. See. Um. Then go back to the other end. Crunchyroll. I know a lot of people use Crunchyroll because for watching currently airing anime and everything. I've never used it though.
Me
Um.
neither.
Have you?
Nope. I've not. I'm not really into anime. And if I the ones I do want to watch, I can HBO Max, we'll get that here in a bit. But
Yeah.
or I go to like Hulu has Attack on Titan, and it's
Yeah.
like
Yeah. Yeah. That's
okay.
actually how I've been watching Attack on Titan. Is through
It's
Hulu.
weird. It's weird, but it works.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Crunchyroll not really. I think if you are an anime fan, and according to you, anime had a really good year in 2020. So maybe Crunchyroll is like, we can keep rolling with these punches. Like, if you
Yeah.
are an anime fan, Crunchyroll is probably a higher ranked streaming service. Though I
Right.
don't know how much it costs.
I think it's like $10 a month. And I think like a premium one's like 15 or something.
That's not
The
terrible. I
thing
mean,
is that's a lot for just anime.
yeah, but there's also a lot of
Yeah.
anime, and
But
not trying to sound like I'm putting them down, but anime fans are very dedicated fans.
Yeah, they are.
And they don't have children. None of them do. Because they're all virgins. So it's extra money. But yeah, I think if you like anime, then Crunchyroll is one of the contenders you're probably looking at. I don't have it. I don't use it. Goes into the do not use category.
Yeah. All right. Now
we should go ahead and throw ESPN Plus into that too.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and do that. Let's put that in. Do not use. I mean, I had it part of the Disney bundle for like the past couple of months because I got that with the Hulu and ESPN Plus, and even my dad, who watches sports, doesn't use it, so he just watches TV.
Sports have found themselves in this really weird crossfire where it's like it's the only real thing that keeps cable alive, in my opinion. Cable stays alive because our boomer parents don't know how to adapt. They're so conditioned and used to paying for cable. Like my dad still has cable. And I'm like, why? And he's like, I don't know. Like we were watching, what was it? Oh gosh. It was some movie that was on Netflix or Disney Plus. And this was like last year. And I was like, why are we watching this on TV with commercials? I'm like, we can just pull it up on streaming. And he's like, I guess. We never did. And I was like, because I actually was okay with watching it on TV just because I'm like, I'm watching TV. Look at me, I'm watching TV. Like memory lane. But for sports though, like Netflix doesn't have sports. Disney Plus doesn't have sports. HBO Max doesn't have sports. So it's like, what's going on with sports? Do you have to get a specialist website for that? Looks like you kind of do. And it seems to be one of the only reasons why TV might have a pulse and hold for a bit. Though I do wonder, like, that has to be a discussion these big streaming services are having, like Plus or like Disney or Netflix, where it's like, how can we secure sports? Like sports, it's huge. Like it's a huge industry with football and golf and basketball. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry. But like, how do you bring that over to Netflix without jacking the price up by $10-15 more per subscription?
Right.
So I don't know. I don't watch sports. I don't give a flying fuck.
Yeah. So next on this list, let's go to Prime Video. Prime Video sucks. Like its interface is one of the worst. The only thing it really has going for it is like, The Boys, as far as like original content goes. But its interface, and anytime I buy it to use it, like to watch The Boys, I'm always frustrated by its interface because it's so bad.
One of the greatest frustrations I will ever have with Prime, and this is because I believe that Prime has a bit of a conflicting personality disorder, where it's like, are you a streaming service or are you a retailer online?
Yeah, like products? A storefront.
What are you? Because I hate it. Where I'm like, okay, like Immigrants from that classic Chupo, whatever. Like I found it, Googled. I'm like, where can I watch this online? And it's like, it's available on Amazon Prime. Clicked it, not available on Prime. I'm like, or not available in my region. I'm like, okay, what region then? It doesn't say. I have a VPN service. Can I use that? It doesn't say. It doesn't say what region it is. And I'm like, what the fuck is this gotcha nonsense? Not gotcha like a game, but still like, it feels like false advertising where Amazon's like, we have it. No, just kidding, we don't. Or we have it, but it's only for sale, not for Prime. I'm like, if I was Amazon Prime, the video service, I would rebrand as like, we are Amazon.
Yeah, because right now I don't think you can get Prime Video by itself. I correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think you can.
No, I pay for Prime for the packaging service.
Right, yeah, for the free shipping. But they add on the Prime Video stuff, and also you get like a free Twitch subscription to like anybody.
Yeah. Do you remember when Twitch got bought by Amazon because Amazon's a goddamn monster, and it's like, Apparently, Amazon's been launching a second tier of grocery stores lately, where they own Whole Foods, but they wanted to make another version that's cheaper and not as snobby, that can compete with like the Krogers, the Walmarts, the Targets of the world. And apparently it's taking a page out of the playbook of what's that one grocery store? Not IKEA, it's not a grocery store.
Oh,
It's that one.
Lidl?
No, maybe it's that one type of grocery store like layout where it has like you bring your own bags.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like
Because I know there's a thing called Lidl, but there's also I forgot what it was called.
it was like
Yeah,
some German creation where they're like, we
yeah,
pay
yeah,
our cashiers can sit down when they do their
yeah.
work, or there's barely any workers there because we actually don't overwork. Long story short, Amazon has been pushing that. So Amazon, I can only imagine right now, is trying to figure out how do we balance this. They found themselves in an awkward position between Prime shipping, Prime membership, and Prime the streaming service, and it's like, what's going on? What are you? And it's a mess. It's so hard to
Yeah.
navigate, and it's frustrating.
Yeah, the really the only thing that it has going for it is the like I said, The Boys and like some
That's
other
it.
exclusive content. But that's really the only show I'm interested in with it. Um, what did C or D?
See,
Yeah, C.
but like as far as I think it has massive potential because Amazon is just this monster company, monster, and they can overhaul this and make it work. But if I were them, I'd be like, you guys need to have a sit down and figure out your identity as a streaming service. Or because right now it's like so confusing. Like, is it for sales? Is it for streaming? Is it for buying products? Is it trying to be both? What the fuck are you? Like
Yeah.
it's confusing.
Um, so the before we go on to some of the other things here, let's go to Funimation because I don't use Funimation, though
Me neither.
I know Jax does. Um, he uses for anime. Um, but yeah, I guess that's something like you have to want to watch like a lot of anime if you want to pay for those services. Um, like a lot. Like you always watch the seasonal stuff. Um,
Mhm.
but I think for the other services that show anime, they show enough to where like they show enough of the mainstream anime to where regular people will just watch it on there and not on the the niche streaming services.
I don't watch it. I just don't know. I'm like, okay, the anime nerds go. What's funny is the timing of this video. I say this in a completely apolitical way. I remember when they're like, wow, Baron Trump watches anime. And he had a Twitter account for like, he had a Twitter account where he's like, where can I go to watch this? And folks are like, oh, hey, Baron, like you can watch it here on Crunchyroll or for Funimation or whatever. And he was like, yeah, I'm really into this. And people started drawing fan art of him, like as an anime, like, whoosh, like character. I'm like, that's kind of funny. But then, like, after he typed his little anime tweets, like the account was deleted. And it's like, okay.
Huh.
Sorry. Again, I say that strictly from a like entertainment point of
Yeah,
view. Like
that's pretty
fine.
funny.
Okay.
So next let's talk about Curiosity Stream. Um, this is a very interesting streaming service because it's all about documentaries and all that, and it has a lot of the classic documentaries like the Walking With series, um, and the
Cheap.
stuff with like Nigel Marvin. Um, and it's cheap too, like really cheap.
$3,
Um,
right?
huh?
It's like $3 or $2.99
Yeah,
or something like that.
it's like $20 a year. And
That's a deal.
they often have promotions to where it's even cheaper than that, like $12 a year. Um,
They're just giving it away.
yeah, I know. Because like I
I,
know that Tierzu always does his like promotions with them.
which is
Um,
brilliant.
yeah,
Which is goddamn brilliant because like Tears makes great content. It's the crowd that you want. And for one of the biggest selling points to me for a streaming service is two things: selection and price. And if you don't have like, because it seems like, I'm sorry, like Curiosity Stream is very educational based, and let's be real, most folks aren't going to care for that.
right.
But there is a contingent of people who do care, and $3, like, yeah, walking with dinosaur nerd shit with Attenborough, fuck yeah, let's go.
Yeah. And
Yeah, let's
it
do it.
just for the price alone, I have to put it in B, because it's it has a lot of like a lot of great documentary content, but also it's cheap. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but the thing is like it's like only documentary stuff, so it's just like if you really want it like that. But it's cheap enough to where if you're into that kind of stuff, you can throw them like just a couple bucks. So
Yeah, I
um,
think it's pretty damn cool.
yeah. Next let's go to Peacock. Um,
I don't have it. I don't.
it's
This is all you.
it's funny because like when I was looking up images for the Peacock logo, I just got the animal. I was like Peacock.
And the wieners.
So yeah, this is a Universal's NBC Universal streaming service. The nice thing about this is that it's free. Um, but there's not quite a lot that compels me to use it. Because I looked at it and looked at the stuff was on it because some of the DreamWorks stuff is on there. Um, and some other movies that I might be interested in watching, but and they also moved The Office to there because that was an NBC show.
Sorry, Netflix taking this back.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
So
that is an approach that I think is being exercised more by these streaming services that are arriving late to the party,
right,
which is it's for free, but you have to watch ads. And I'm like, that's what YouTube essentially is. And I think that gives it some potency because there are a lot of folks who are like, I can't afford another streaming service. I just can't. And it's like, it's for free. You just watch ads. And they're like, they've been conditioned by YouTube to watch that shit.
yeah,
So yeah, I think that works.
yeah. I haven't really been compelled to watch anything, but the fact that it's free, um, you can get it premium for like $5 a month, which isn't that much. So it's still pretty cheap. Um, the fact that it's that like cheap, I'll put it in B. So if there is anything that I would be interested in watching on it, and just watch ads while watching it for free, that's fine. So
By the
I'll
way,
put that in B.
a quick thing that's not on this list I want to bring up to see what you think.
What?
Um, Fubo TV. What do you know of that?
I do not know anything about it.
Okay, so Fubo is, according to I know of it, I thought it would be more of a Peacock, but it's not. It says Fubo TV is an American streaming television service that focuses primarily on channels that distribute live sports, including NFL and MLB, Major League Baseball, NBA, NH, whatever, and international soccer, plus news, network television series, and movies. So it's cable trying to be on the internet.
Okay.
And it says it launched on January 1st, 2015. It seems like soccer is a big part of its appeal. I'm gonna be surprised.
Yeah.
I'm surprised Lammy's napping right now. I'm like pleasantly surprised. It says here, because actually I have a few shares in this company because it like got slaughtered a few months, or like a month ago, and there's rumors of Amazon possibly buying it.
Hmm.
As
Because
I
I
said
know there was
before,
like the that Sling TV thing too.
it says here that Fubo exceeds 100 million quarterly revenue for the first time, like in the fourth quarter 2020. COVID definitely gave streaming services a leg to stand on. But here's the thing: it's like $65 for a subscription.
Yeah, because I know
Um,
like YouTube TV is a thing too, and also Hulu also has their packages that have like TV channels in it.
we'll get to Hulu here in a
Yeah,
bit.
yeah.
I got a bone to pick with Hulu.
Um, but yeah, that's interesting because I didn't include any streaming service that has like one of those cable type packages. Um, because this is just like for the packages that for the streaming service in general.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so next let's talk about Paramount. This just launched, though it's a rebrand of CBS All Access. Um,
Viacom, Nickelodeon.
yeah, Nickelodeon, MTV, Comedy Central, BET, um, CBS. So it has all the Star Trek stuff on it. Not all the movies though, but all of the series. Um, most of the Nickelodeon Nicktoons. Not all of them, but most of them.
I'm gonna say this though, real fast. Is that never before? If I was an executive working at Paramount, Viacom, Nickelodeon, whatever, I'd be like, man, we have like look at Disney, look at even Warner with Cartoon Network. Like they actually had content they were churning out last decade.
Yeah.
It was a very slow decade for Nickelodeon, and now it's like you guys are paying the price for it. Like the
Yeah.
streaming wars are upon you. What do you have? What arsenal do you have? And it's like SpongeBob, SpongeBob. So
It's
that's
really
it.
weird because like a lot of their stuff for Nickelodeon as well has deals with Netflix. Like the Loud House movie and the Rise of the TMNT movie are coming out on Netflix, not on Paramount Plus.
Star Trek's also on Netflix. I
Yeah.
think Netflix, Viacom relied on licensing to Netflix and then realized it's a lot more lucrative if you can get a subscription service
Yeah.
because you have an archive. Netflix does not. Netflix relied on licensing for a while until corporations realized, oh shit, that's ours. Like we gotta let's pull it, do our own streaming service. We'll get the Disney. We'll talk about them in a bit. But like, yeah, I mean Paramount Plus, they're scrambling. I mean, you have a Paleo. What do you think?
I think there's more stuff on this that I'm interested in watching because like I actually watched like a few movies on it and I watched the Camp Roll stuff and I'll probably watch some Nicktoons that are on it. And also some of the MTV and VH1 stuff I saw on there. I am interested in watching. But I think as far as like some of the other newer streaming services, I think it has a better like selection of things. Like for
Mhm.
Peacock, I looked at the stuff on there and I was like, I don't really want to watch any of this. Or I've watched it like a lot. Um so and also Paramount is pretty cheap too. It's like $5 a month with ads. Um
That's not bad.
Yeah, and I got the promotional price to where they had it like 50% off for the year, so I got it for a year for $30. Um, so I think it's probably worth a B. We'll see with the original content that they're going to be making because they're going to have like the Avatar stuff. The Halo series is going to be coming to it. Um,
Get, I want to punch Halo in the face. I want to punch it in its stupid face. Because I swear to God, I remember in like 2007 or 8 or whatever, when I was like, wow, look at these cool YouTube videos of J.J. Abrams and his possible Halo series. And I still, or something like Neil Blomkamp or something like that.
yeah, yeah.
There was like names attached to it. And like, wow, a Halo series. Halo, for being such a wonderful like place to cultivate a franchise on a cinematic or television level has never really struck a chord with me. Like I loved Halo growing up. I still love Halo, but I've never watched any of the Halo series that are available. There's
But like
that
the
one
Halo Legends stuff.
Halo Legends is an exception because that's an
Yeah,
anthology
yeah,
series, and I like
that
that.
was interesting because I remember like watching it on Xbox Live on the 360.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Same. That was weird. But I guess what I'm getting at is that I think video games have a chance to rise to the occasion of being movies and
Yeah,
shows,
like Netflix has a
especially with
lot of like video game stuff in the works.
right, right,
Yeah.
because it's kind of an untapped market. Because I think they got Cursed and thanks Mario movie and Final Fantasy and shit like that. And now it's like we can revisit this. And funny enough, I think the best way to do it is fucking animation. It
Yeah.
works so well. So it's like, oh, because Castlevania, like, whew, man, that made me a believer. And maybe they can do the same with Halo. Because if they're like, if they are like, we're doing a Halo series animated, and it's going to be
I
about
think
like
it's a live action series.
as
Which
long
can
as the
still work.
writing's
I
good,
mean, like
it can,
yeah,
it
yeah.
can.
Like the people like the Witcher series on Netflix.
Right, that
Yeah.
actually was solid. I think Henry had more fun being the Witcher than Superman.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess all in all, I really hope Halo gets its chance to shine in the sun as a series.
Yeah.
Because at the moment, I've been disappointed for over a decade with it on as far as adaptations go, except for Legends.
All
Sorry,
right. Now we're down to the big four. Which I guess Hulu is sort of part of Disney too, because like Disney has the majority stakeholder in that.
Hulu
uh,
is this weird bastard child of streaming services, yet it's strong enough where you can punch it in the face in the like yeah, all the other streaming services in school pushing Hulu around. It's like, yeah, Hulu, you're homeless, no one likes you. And then and then they pull out the
it pulls out a
reality.
card. Family Guy.
No, it pulls out two cards, Family Guy and then reality television.
Yeah.
Because like let me tell you, I would have cut the cord on Hulu a while ago, but I shared it with my family, and my mom and my sisters love Hulu for all the stupid reality shows they watch. They love it. Like the reality show, I don't. It's like, is this what keeps it alive? Is reality TV
And Disney. Because
and
like, you know, Disney,
Disney?
because Disney has Fox now, and like a majority of the Fox shows are on Hulu, like new episodes when they come out.
Yeah, Bob's Burgers.
Yeah.
I find it interesting because Laura watches Hulu too for Bob's Burgers and other stuff. But and we also mentioned Attack on Titan earlier.
Yeah.
Hulu, I recall, no kidding, 2008, watching it
For
like The
free.
Office on there for free with
Yeah.
little like ads you had to watch.
Yeah, for those that are too young,
Oh
Hulu used to
Jesus,
be a
is it
free
happening?
Hulu used to be a free streaming service.
Yep. Back in our days, we had to sit there and let the
Because
ads
like I
buffer.
remember watching The Daily Show on Hulu when Jon Stewart was on it.
I remember when you watch it with your friends. Sorry, I gotta stop doing the voice. But like, you would get an ad, but your ad isn't the same ad as your friend. So you might get a 15-second ad. They might get a 30-second ad. You all have to wait and equalize afterwards. Okay,
Yeah.
we good? We good. Oh, let's continue. Um, it's and an ad block wasn't a thing. At least it wasn't working for Hulu back then either. But all in all, Hulu, I cut it. I would cut it if I could. I think it's kind of like this leftover service where it's like, yeah, we'll just put the rest in this Hulu.
Yeah,
There you go.
I do like the stuff like, you know, Animaniacs came out last year for it. Which
That's true.
yeah, is like one of the only original animated shows that they have. Um
I think you're right. Well, that was fun with that little ad where Hulu's like, we're gonna make a fortune. And I'm
yeah.
like, okay. But you know what? To be fair though, my Animaniacs quick vid, that got like almost 700,000 views.
Oh wow.
So I'm like, that's a good barometer for me to go, wow, folks, this their advertising got out there. Folks cared.
Yeah.
So okay, that's good. Even I had some friends who aren't like part of my YouTube circle, and they're like, "Have you watched this Animaniacs show yet?" And I'm like, "Wow, you know about it? Did I? Okay, like that's a testament to good advertising."
Yeah, there's still a lot of stuff that I like to watch on Hulu, but it's mainly shows. Like there's some movies that pop up sometimes that I haven't seen that I'll be like, "Oh, it's on Hulu. I'll watch it there." But it's mainly shows and stuff that I watch on Hulu, so I'm gonna put it in B. It's also like I said, it can be part of the Disney bundle or just by itself, and it's fairly cheap. It's only what, $7, I think, with ads. Um,
Yeah, one time my little sister bought the $50 cable package
oh God,
onto my Hulu account, and I'm like, "What the fresh hell do you think you're doing?" Like, because that's so the same way I have a problem with Prime, where I'm like, "Is this available?" And they're like, "Yes." Hulu does the same thing, whereas like, "Is this available?" Yes, for $45
yeah,
additional
yeah,
month, and I'm like,
it does it, but it does it a bit better than Prime because like at least Hulu has a better interface than Prime. It's still not great compared to the
better.
other streaming services here because these last three, I think, have the better interfaces out of all of the streaming services
They're the
here.
superior ones because one is the cutting. This was one was the one that set things into motion.
Yeah,
The other two are the ones that are the big dinosaurs that were able to evolve and adapt,
right.
and also have a really good backlog to fall back on. So go ahead and
Yeah,
continue.
yeah. So
Actually, before we get into, you know what? I was going to take a piss, but I'm good. Never mind. Good.
all right. So yeah, Disney Plus, HBO Max, and Netflix. These are really the big three that like everybody talks about. Um, which it's funny because like when HBO Max launched, people were like, "This isn't gonna work," and like this year they've been really taken off.
Hmm.
And Disney Plus especially, it just hit over 100 million subscribers.
Which one are we
Um,
going to talk about first here? Netflix, HBO Max, or Plus?
um, let's talk about Netflix first.
That's what I was going to say.
Um,
So I would be remiss to not mention Blockbuster in all of this,
oh yeah,
where where, and ironically, which there's a new Blockbuster documentary on Netflix. I find that hubris to be pretty great. So Blockbuster, which was owned by Paramount, by the way, and Viacom, failed to adapt. And when they got rid of their late fees, that was like, GG, we're done here. And they had a chance to buy Netflix and never did. And with on demand, with streaming, with Redbox and shit like that, and ultimately Netflix being the internet improving was the big one as well.
Yeah.
And then mobile phones arrived. It was like game over.
Right, because it was around the late 2000s when they started the streaming part of the model. Which is funny because I was reading with Crunchyroll. Crunchyroll actually started its streaming service in 2006.
It's cutting edge.
Yeah, which I'm like, wait, is that before Netflix? But before they started streaming, because I think they started streaming in like 2007.
There was some. I always find it interesting when you've got companies, products that are ahead of their time, but to the point where it's like your children, or you don't like this, but your children will, kind of thing. From like, because that was the case with the Game Gear for Sega, where it's like, dude, this is a kick-ass mobile gaming device. It's got good.
It's got a backlight. It's got color. It was like, but it's super expensive.
The batteries weren't there yet, so it's like, sorry, you ain't there yet. So for Netflix, which really, Netflix had the good timing of evolving with the internet, with the generation evolving with the internet, with the creation of mobile devices, because it used to be where it's like buffering. Now it's like, no, the internet's good enough to buffer this shit out. We're good. Netflix also had lots of licensing it could do.
Yeah.
The Office on Netflix was one of the biggest like winners for the longest time. Where I used to watch all the time on Netflix. I'm like, I'll just put on on The Office. Who gives a shit? So Netflix was kind of like the goddamn king, still is, to a degree, and was undisputed.
Yeah, it still has the most subscribers. Like, it has even more now. I think the last time I looked at the wiki page for streaming services, it's still at top with like 203 million subscribers or something. So twice as much as Disney.
And they also have been raising their prices as well.
Yeah.
So
that's my main complaint about Netflix is the price is pretty up there, especially if you go for the premium one to where you want like 4 people being able to watch at once. And also what happened recently to where they were cracking down on password sharing between people.
So I think that is going to be a thing for every streaming service, most likely, where once you get that first wave of people, because you don't want to like push them off. Like, it's like if I was Plus or Paramount or Hbo Max, I'd be like, no, don't worry. Let's not get hung up on password sharing. Right now, it's like the drug dealer being like, you want to try a sample? You want to try a sample? And then try a sample. All right, time to pay up. Like a year later. And it's like, but I like it. And it's like, we know, time to pay up. So Netflix has existed long enough to where they can start clamping down on that shit. HBO Plus, Paramount, I'd be like, nah, no, let it run. Let folks. Right now, you want folks to try this out. Netflix also has the issue of running into, and this happened like what 6 or 7 years ago. I'm sure it dawned on them beforehand, but when other companies are like, we're taking our stuff back, and Netflix is like, oh, we gotta make original shit now, don't we?
Yeah, like, they really started that in the early 2010s, where they started making a lot more original shows, and now there's a ton of stuff on Netflix of their original content.
Their approach is literally throw everything you can at the wall and see what sticks.
Yeah, you want to make a Netflix show? Greenlit.
To be fair, though, it was the only way they could survive.
Yeah,
like, if you don't take calculated, I'm sorry, at that point, you don't get greedy with your, like, yes, it's going to cost a lot. It is. But if you don't, you're dead. You don't have a backlog. And if they had half a brand, they go, shit, if Disney or HBO Max or Warner or whatever, if they start to compete with us, they've got a backlog. We don't. We've got to make new shit, and we got to keep people hooked on. And best of all, if it's our IP, we have that much more control because we get 100% of that shit. we don't have to license or rev share or whatever.
Right.
So like we got to get to work, and they did Stranger Things, Cobra Kai. That's it. That's all there is.
They took
still
Cobra
do,
Kai from YouTube. But
that's
yeah,
great.
like BoJack, a bunch of the animated shows on there, and also they started like licensing the dubs of anime. So
Which is smart. Which
Yeah.
is I know that there's still a lot of distribution deals and licensing and things like that, but ultimately they're in a much better position of power compared to depending on the titans of the industry, where like Disney would license a film to them, and now it's like now Disney's like, no, we ain't doing that, and Netflix is like, yeah, we knew you would never.
Yeah, it's like
that.
Netflix is like, we're gonna keep the Marvel shows though that we had, and Disney's
Yeah,
like,
idiots for
so ours are
keeping
gonna
them.
be better.
I like that though. It's interesting. You see how the streaming wars evolved and how companies started to figure out. They started like clicking their brands where they're like, "Oh shoot, TV's dead. We gotta move." I think when Gen Zers arrived and millennials also weren't doing cable packages, it's like this is about to snowball out of control. Get in on the ground floor yesterday and get to work, because Netflix is about to steam you all out.
Yeah. But where would you put Netflix? Because as far as like value goes, it's if you go for the premium package, it's the most expensive one. But the thing is, like, it's kind of grandfathered in to where it's like, oh no, but I have to have Netflix because like everybody has Netflix.
I keep Netflix around because there's a lot of I like it. I like it as a streaming service. I really do. I think it's exciting to be to have a streaming service where they're constantly making new stuff because they have to. In the process, you get some stinkers. In the process, you get some good stuff like not Devil May Cry, Dante's Inferno. Oh my god, what's it called?
Castlevania.
Castlevania. Thank you. Castlevania was spectacular, but then you got like Blood of Zeus. Where I'm like, yeah, it's okay. But like that all being said, at the end of the day, there's always something to watch. Always. Right. So I put it into S tier.
S tier? Wow.
I would. I
mean, I put it into A because like mainly because of that price where it's like,
maybe I would put it in A tier.
Like because like everything else, it's only the price that is preventing it from S tier, and also the recent password sharing thing.
I think if they can keep it up with providing quality content and building IPs that are consistently good, then maybe you can get bumped into S tier. But like as of right now, upper A tier is where I put it.
Yeah. All right. Next, let's talk about Disney. It's only been about what, a year and a half since it came out, because it came out in November of 2019.
You couldn't ask for better timing for a streaming response. You couldn't ask. You literally couldn't ask. I mean, to slam dunk what was a cinematic like marathon with Marvel and
they did Endgame, they did The Lion King, which is, oh god, it's
Frozen 2.
I don't like it, but like The Lion King is one of their most successful movies.
It pisses me off where I'm like, it is. Disney is a titan of the industry, of the entertainment industry. They're known for quality. And that's a hard thing to their level. When you think of quality, you go, yeah, Disney. Their theme parks, their movies, their shows, it's quality. Doesn't mean it's all critically good, but there's a mark of quality. And for them, they had something that is hard pressed for these other streaming services to have, and that's a backlog. And Disney's backlog,
huge backlog. And one interesting thing about this service compared to the others, once something is on there, it's staying on there. Unlike with Netflix or Hulu, if there's like a movie that they'll put on there, it's going to remain on there for the rest of eternity. Hopefully.
Right. 2 million years from now, and they're like, bro, they got Treasure Planet. No. I like Disney Plus. I want to say
there is. I was going to mention, because somebody in the comments might mention like, oh, they removed these films because they're the controversial content in them. No, only for the kids' profiles. Like the adult profiles can still watch them.
And you have to see it from Disney's point of view, where they don't want to rock the boat. And I appreciate that they do put that disclaimer where it's like, this came from a time where it's been culturally insensitive or whatever. We want to include it, but grow. I like that. At least they have the balls to acknowledge it.
Yeah. They're never gonna
Albeit,
put Song of the South on there though.
right, right. I was thinking about reviewing that someday. Should I?
Maybe.
Just for not just for the novelty of it, I'll be like, well,
Yeah.
what's the fuss about? What's going on? But yeah, I want to say real fast. Out of all the different icons we have here for the streaming services, I love Disney Pluses. I love the color gradient. I love the little plus symbol
Yeah,
next to
yeah.
Disney. Really well done, well executed. That is good graphic design, good colors, and it rolls off the tongue. Disney Plus, and it sounds unique to it. Enough for Paramount to go, we're borrowing that. So
Yeah.
yeah, Disney Plus. I like the name. I think it's powerful. There's power to it.
Also, an interesting thing because Disney like hit the ground running with their streaming service back in November of 2019, where they had like all this stuff on it. They started with the Mandalorian, having it as like a weekly show. But after that, they didn't have anything else, so a lot of people dropped off because of the Mandalorian, the season 1 ending. But now, like starting with November 2020, or was it December? It's one of those. The Mandalorian came back for season 2. Right after that, WandaVision started. And then right after that, Falcon and Winter Soldier is starting. And then right after that, I think the Star Wars The Bad Batch is going to be starting. And then after that, it's Loki.
So
So they're actually going to have a show every week.
here's my weigh it. All right, Netflix advantage: constantly content, constantly, and also there's a bit more variety. Where it's like Disney is like you're right. Like initially, it's like, wow, look at this backlog. Where's the new stuff? Oh, Amanda's gone. Okay, I guess we're done here. So
Yeah.
Disney, this is the beginning for them. Like it's time. Disney's going to be going through a lot of their money they've been building up from their cinematic shit. Now it's time to start putting that money to work to win the next war with streaming. So yes, like they're putting it to work, and I think it's smart for them to go for Star Wars and Marvel. They bought the properties; it's familiar. Put it to work, do TV shows and shit or streaming shit. That's fine, but I do feel like when's Disney going to start breaking out of Marvel and Disney and start doing like it's because
I know that in July they're going to be doing the Monsters at Work show, which I'm very interested in seeing that because that's going to be like Pixar's first show.
yeah,
Yeah,
but what I'm getting
yeah,
at is like there's Pixar, Disney Animation,
yeah,
and Marvel and Nat Geo, but look, what about outside of that? Where Netflix is like a lot more experimental, where it's like fuck it, it's this, it's Castlevania.
yeah,
Disney, I would be like, if they had Castlevania Disney, I'd be like, where did that come from? Like, whoa. So I would hope that Disney keeps pushing for variety. I
yeah,
think they've got some strong properties and franchises to fall back on. They'll do just fine.
yeah.
But and they're also they made a declaration where like we're about to throw down. Get ready.
Yeah, well,
So
like back in December when they had that investors thing, they did announce like a bunch of the shows that they're working on. And even like Disney Animation Studios and Pixar are both working on original shows that are not based on any property.
which is pretty damn
Yeah,
cool. Soul was released for free on Plus.
yeah,
But then you got things like Raya and Mulan, where it's like I'm not paying
yeah,
$30
$30.
extra.
Yeah,
No, I think they're relying on convenience at that point. Where like Mom, Dad, please, please, I want to
one
watch
one
Mulan. And it's
one
like,
major thing
fine.
that's going for them right now is that they are one of the cheapest out of the streaming services here.
And they can afford that too.
Yeah,
Disney is interesting because it is Netflix is streaming. That's about it. It's purely entertainment. Disney is also entertainment, but it's also entertainment as it's someone called it Schrodinger's cat of stocks, where it's like, is it a reopening stock or is it a tech stock like a streaming service? And it's like it's both. So because Disney has cruise lines, they got lots of merchandise with toys. They have movies and shows, and they also have their theme parks and whatnot, and their hotels and resorts. So it's a lot bigger than Warner. I don't know Warner has their own stuff, but like Disney's the next level shit when it comes to that.
right.
Uh, but I'm glad it's cheap. That's a good selling point. It's like what, like
Yeah,
eight, $7?
it is going up $1 like this next week.
Dude, all of these
Yeah.
streaming services are going to be like $20 per subscription by the end of this decade. You laugh, but I'm
But
not
Disney,
wrong.
like what they've been doing, it's just that like the sort of like drip feed of content every week.
Drip.
Yeah, yeah. Compared to the other ones, I do like it that shows are like on a week by week basis. That way, it actually has people talking about them. Rather than when Stranger Things, like a season of that comes out, they talk about it for a week and then it's gone. Um,
I miss that. I think people forget about the because Netflix did introduce that like binge it, and I do
yeah.
understand the. It's something where I feel like
Where it's
there's
like it's so hard to avoid spoilers for like when BoJack came out. It was like I gotta watch all of it now.
which I understand the validity of that approach, but I'll say personally, I like throttling it. I
Yeah,
like, hey, I'll take it gives me something to look forward to, especially after COVID, where our days kind of all ran together. It's good to have some kind of defined schedule where it's like, guys, it's Friday, let's go watch blah. And it's like, yeah, let's go watch an episode and discuss it. And I know that for these companies, they're like, yes, you idiots, take your time. But personally, I like it. I like the culture of getting to just like it gives me a highlight for the week versus we watched all of BoJack season like 7 this or 4 or whatever, and it's like that's a lot.
yeah. Um, but Disney, I because there's still a lot that has not come out on it. There were shows that were supposed to come out because of COVID and everything that got delayed. So there isn't quite as much on there that I would want to watch. Um, compared to other streaming services because like a bunch of the content on there I've already seen. Like I've already seen all the Marvel stuff. I've seen all the Disney movies. I've seen all the Pixar movies. I've seen all the Star Wars movies. I want new stuff. Um, but
You're
the new
getting it
stuff is good that I have been watching on it.
for
So
what it.
I'm gonna put it in A, uh, for that reason. Also
So
because it's cheap.
yeah, so hear me out real fast because I think was it we had a Discord call with our friends and we were talking about Star Wars. Mandalorian did something so critically important,
Yeah.
not for just Disney Plus, but for Star Wars. It actually took a leap of faith and did something different on a mainstream level. I know that there are other Star Wars properties and games that have done that, but I mean on a mainstream level, like it's incredible to me that Disney dumped so much money into the trilogy that was a sequel trilogy, and it's like it wasn't that great. It wasn't that great. But then Baby Yoda strolls up and they're like, like what the fuck? That's solid. Like Baby
Yeah.
Yoda had more of an impact than the entire sequel trilogy combined. And for Disney, they're like, can we start over on Star Wars Land and call it Baby Yoda Land? Like, can you no, can I let me throw that real fast.
It reminds me.
No.
I was just grocery shopping with my dad earlier, and we saw like a thing where it's like Baby Yoda hand sanitizer.
He's got he spits it out. But it's because Star Wars Disney was so ready to roll with the Star Wars sequel trilogy that they based in a way a new theme park addition to it. That's multi billion dollar operation, takes a long time, and two of the rides. The Smuggler's Run, which is like a screen, so you can change that because you're in the Falcon, you're
Mhm.
flying around. The other one's called like Rise of the Resistance, and it's like your little cart trying to stop Kylo with the Resistance, and everybody's like, eh, eh, eh. But then they're like, Grogu, where? Where? Like, it's like, dude, Mandalorian was so much more effective critically and financially than the sequel trilogy, in my opinion,
Yeah.
at least culturally. I'm sure there's some logistical shit with like streaming versus movies and money and whatnot. But all I'm saying is that I see a lot more Baby Yoda online than I do of Kylo Ren at this point.
Right.
So sorry, but yeah, they bring back in Mandalorian, made some waves for Star Wars and for Plus. It did what Disney needed Star Wars to do, be more to access the galaxy of Star Wars, which is now going to lend itself well over to a streaming service with series. So let's
Right.
go.
All right.
HBO Max,
Last one here. Yeah. HBO Max. So I really like HBO Max.
as do I.
Yeah. It has, as far as like for animation fans, it's great because there's a ton of animated content on there. There's all the stuff from Hanna-Barbera, Cartoon Network, Adult Swim. It even has a lot of Crunchyroll stuff on it because like there's a section where you can see a lot of the Crunchyroll anime on it. Yeah, not like all of Crunchyroll, but it has like some selection. Like I've been watching ReZero on HBO Max. Um, and then one thing it has that is missing from a lot of streaming services, and Netflix used to have some, but it doesn't have as many as it used to, are classic movies. Um, because HBO
The
Max has a lot of the Criterion
Turner.
collection.
Mhm.
So I've been watching classic movies through that because Criterion also has its own streaming service, but that's kind of niche. Um,
I was wondering because I think for me it's like Hulu existed, Netflix existed, Disney committed, Disney scared. I think a lot of the other companies to go, oh shit, like Disney's doing this and they're really throwing down. They're like quickly you gotta catch up. CBS All Access, Paramount Plus, HBO Max was the one where I'm like, okay, if there's one who could actually compete, it's
it's Warner
Warner. And
Brothers, yeah.
yeah, and to be fair, the first time I'm like, oh, this is probably very thrown together. Like, here's our archive, here's our backlog, watch it. But it's like they've got some new content coming through. I thought it was a very bold stroke for them to go, our entire movie slate for 2021, it's on Max for free. Watch it. Like Godzilla versus Kong's
Yeah,
coming up
yeah,
here in a
it's
few
coming out
days. And
like
I'm like,
a little more than a week now.
can't wait. Snyder Cut came out, and you know what? It was okay. It was okay, and it's also a talking point. So, and I'm a cartoon fan, as you all know, and I constantly, watch
Yeah,
Dexter's Lab
like
on there. I watch Pebbles
Close
Bros.
enough came out on there last year, and it had
Close
it.
Enough is so
Yeah,
good.
yeah. It had like Summer Camp Island. They moved that from Cartoon Network to put it on HBO Max. So the new season of that came out on there, and the same thing they did with Infinity Train for book 3, and they're going to do for book 4. Unfortunately, I don't think it's going to be any more than that. But
That's so
yeah,
interesting that television still has this really weird, like it gets dibs. Because like today I'm trying to catch up on DuckTales and finish it off.
mhm.
And I'm on like episode like 16 of season 3. And I'm like, where can I watch this? And I'm like, I'll go to Plus. They own DuckTales. It'll be on
Yeah,
Plus. And it's like,
it's not going to be
or
all on there until next month.
fuck off with that. Not you, to them. Where I'm like, why the living fuck are you giving television picks first? Like, fuck off. Like, just put it on Plus. My God. Like, please. So I know it's going to be on there eventually, or as you just said, it will be, but still, like, I don't like that TV still gets dibs at times. And I'm like, why are you giving these dinosaurs first picks? It pisses me off. Whatever. Um, but yeah, as an animation fan, I'm really happy with HBO Max. I really like it a lot. And there's Studio Ghibli films, and there's a
Yeah,
selection
yeah.
of anime. There's it's got a lot. The classic films. I watched I still want to watch the Seven Samurais. I'm pretty sure it's on
Yeah,
there.
yeah, I think it is, and I actually watched Yojimbo, another
Kurosawa.
a Kurosawa film. Yeah,
Hmm.
and just like yesterday, I watched Dog Day Afternoon, and it's from the same director of Network, which I watched with you. Um, so yeah, it has a lot of great movies and stuff, and then it has all the HBO shows, which are all critically acclaimed.
Hmm.
Um, and I mean, say what you want about Game of Thrones, but I mean, it's on there.
Yeah. Man, if I told you this yesterday too. If I was in charge, if I was an executive of Warner Brothers or HBO or whatever, I'd be like, I want D&D dead. Both of them. Cut their heads off and put it on my desk, Game of Thrones style, because they ruined like talk about how like Game of Thrones was such a strong franchise. Huge, huge. And it's like, dude, this stuff could have lent itself so well over to streaming in a huge way. And they retroactively destroyed Game of Thrones. I'm sure there's still Game of Thrones fans out there, but it's like, I mean this genuinely from a place of in my heart where I'm like, dude, I love Game of Thrones. I loved it. I'm so turned off to it now.
Yeah.
Like that finale killed my love for Game of Thrones in its entirety almost. And it's like, dude, you just shot yourself in the foot. Your franchise, which could have been like, because I know that Warner's like, we got Game of Thrones on here too. And it's like, if it was a good finale, I'd be like, dude, we gotta get HBO Max. Game of Thrones, blah 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 is gonna be on there. But now it's like Game of Thrones. Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah, one thing I was also going to mention that's on HBO Max is with Disney Plus when that came out. One thing I was wondering is if they would put, classic Mickey Mouse shorts and cartoons and stuff of like Donald and Goofy and everything, and they did. They did put a bunch of shorts on Disney Plus. I was like, oh cool, I can watch some of these classic shorts. But then when HBO Max came out, I was like, ooh, I wonder if they're going to do classic Looney Tunes. Classic Looney Tunes is like so much better than like the classic Disney shorts. I'm sorry. It's a lot funnier.
Classic Mickey is a bit vanilla.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, like get like explosions everywhere for Looney Tunes.
Yeah, like there's that one we were watching where like the pig was like trying to eat the pie. It's like, okay, it just explodes.
Yeah, right.
Like some of those really old Looney Tunes from like the 30s and 40s.
Yeah. So, I guess the
only thing about HBO Max is that I got the promotional price when it was still HBO Now. So I've been paying like $11.99 a month for it, but that runs out in May, and I'm gonna have to start to pay $14.99. That's the only point against it, is that it's one of the most expensive. It's still less expensive than Netflix though. If you're going
it's also
yeah.
HBO's though, like HBO's always been expensive as well. I see that price going up quite a bit. I can see it probably going to $30 by the end of this decade, probably more. That's the thing here, is I think people are gonna have to start considering like, okay, at this point you can try things out. But I think most folks, even right now, are like, I can do 3 streaming services top. Like that's where now I have them all because I'm got no kids and I'm a sad man. But like for most folks, it's like I'll do maybe 2, maybe 3. That's it. But because right now, folks are like, streaming's becoming cable. It's going to become cable, and it's like, never will it ever be that price again. That was cable had a vice grip. They were fucking monsters with their packaging. I think the internet at least broke it up for now. It could get bad again. We never know. But as of right now, folks are like, it's just as bad as cable. Nowhere near. Nowhere near. Are you kidding me?
Another thing, like I'm gonna mention it in the video I'm gonna be doing, but you don't have a contract with streaming services. You're not obligated to like pay for like a certain amount of time. You can cancel whenever you want. That's one big advantage of that of streaming services.
It makes me think of British people. It's like, "Oi, governor, did you where's your license for that television?" And it's
like, yeah, for our non-UK people. I mean, we're in the US, but like, yeah, people in the UK have to pay for a license to own a television, or to use a television, I guess. Which sounds so weird.
It's dumb as fuck.
But yeah, HBO Max, I would say, is an S tier for me, just because of like the quality of the content that's on it. Because like Netflix is great, but it also has a lot of shit on it. Disney Plus has a lot of stuff, but it's like a lot of stuff I've already seen a billion times. HBO Max has a lot of stuff that I would like actively go out to watch.
It seems like a combination of old
and also new. Like the movie stuff for this year, where Mortal Kombat is coming out, Godzilla vs Kong, Space Jam 2 is gonna be coming to it.
yeah, dude, and that's worth the price of admission right there. Space Jam 2, no questions asked. I'm excited to see where. Oh, one of the biggest highlights I think of what's going on right now with the streaming wars is that it is a competitive landscape because it's still being shaped. There's no true like this is the winner. I think it's very much so clear that there are contenders who will probably end up on top because they just are that big and they got like archives and the ability to fund it and shit. And also like like Disney has always been a titan in the industry, and they walked into another arena going, let's get this one too. But it's cool to see how competitive it is, in the sense that a lot of these companies are throwing down lots of money for new IP and it's like quality. Like, it kind of reminds me of the '90s when Cartoon Network and Nickelodeon were like, let's make quality shit. Let's make
Right.
quality stuff. So in that regard, I'm like, okay, I'm excited. Let's see what you all do. I'm ready. I'm ready to see what you got, and I'm glad that the companies are putting their money where their mouth is. So we'll see.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the tier list here. It's interesting because like the top three are also like the top three most popular. Though HBO Max is getting a lot more popular. I think like Hulu is still more popular than HBO Max, but HBO Max has been getting a lot of like attention because of the movie stuff.
Yep, smart, dude. I remember when movie AMC was like, God, fuck you, HBO Max.
Yeah.
Or when Christopher Nolan's like, I'm gonna kill HBO Max. Tenant. But
Yeah,
yeah, we'll see what happens. This will be an interesting decade for entertainment.
definitely. But yeah, that's the tier list. Thank you for joining me for this. And I guess we'll all see you next time. Go visit Saber's channel, though you're probably already subscribed to him. So, see ya. Bye, everybody.
Bye.